Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today, I am joined right now with only one of my chosen of Valhalla, and that is Mr. Outpost Dyer himself. Kyle, what is going on, bruv?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going fine. It's going fine. Let's just make sure that the audio is coming through for everybody. So sorry for the late start, but we were having a lot of I was having a lot of technical issues with YouTube. I also needed to feed my dogs. There was a meeting at school that went way too long, and so everything was kind of just thrown into a tizzy, and my wife is coming home late today, so therefore I had to take care of a lot of things that etc. But anyway, audio is fine, says Mr. Peabody. So, with that being said, Laura might be able to join us, but right now there is just some life stuff going on, so she might be able to jump in. So if she is, I will introduce her. But for now, I have Kyle. So Kyle, please tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a prior Marine, served in the military for 4 years.
Thank you for your service.
Lived in Japan for 13. Now I'm in Hawaii. I'm an author, a painter, and a musician. So,
very cool.
Fun times.
Very cool. And is there something that you want to talk about as far as your work is concerned? Because I have something over here that I can show if you want to talk about your little awesome, cool series.
Yeah, sure, if you want to, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So as I said earlier, I'm an author, and I published a book about I think a year and a half ago. So this is the first in a series that I'm working on. It's an epic fantasy grimdark. It's definitely the adult genre or the adult audience. So just be prepared if you ever read it.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm holding it up right now. It's called The Dark Legacy Series Volume 1, The Bearer of Secrets. I've not had a chance to actually dive into it myself, but I've been very tempted to because I don't have time, unfortunately. And I'm just like, this looks really cool, and this looks very interesting. And I love the character names, too. So I can't wait to dive into it. So, with that little plug out of the way, we were going to talk about some Star Wars today, so Kyle, tell me a little bit about your love for Star Wars. Where did your love for Star Wars start?
Oh, man, I was young. I don't remember how old I was. I could have been more than 4 or 5, maybe 6 at the latest. But the first time I remember watching it and retaining what I was watching, I was over at my grandparents' house, and back then they had 2 VCRs. Where they would record off of like HBO or the TV or whatever, and it was Empire Strikes Back. And that's the very first Star Wars movie I ever remember watching, and it is my favorite. So, and then my dad later had Return of the Jedi. It wasn't until many years later that I actually saw Star Wars. So I kind of got them out of order. I got Empire, Return, and then A New Hope. So yeah, and man, Darth Vader would scare the crap out of me as a kid. And then when he's like, "No, I'm your father," I'm like, "Oh my god!"
No, I agree. Empire is definitely my favorite of the Star Wars as well. And I've mentioned this on the channel before. You know, my introduction to Star Wars overall was through the prequels. I saw the prequels when I was a kid in theaters, and it was through the prequels that I finally was introduced into the original trilogy, which of course I fell in love with because they're all great. And then of course with the sequel trilogy coming out, it just brought all of the old memories back, and then we got ourselves in the situation that we're in now with Lucasfilm being bought by Disney and all the decisions that they have made since then. And it's been some good stuff going on over there.
So I remember when The Phantom Menace came out, and I was, I don't know, 17, 18 at the time, old enough to drive myself to the movie theater, and I watched it, I think, like 17 times in the theater, and finally my mom forbade me from going to watch it again. And so I remember just, it was such a huge deal because I was like, oh my God, Star Wars is coming out in my lifetime. Like I've grown up on this stuff, and the first few times I went to watch the Phantom Menace, I didn't see any of its flaws. I was seeing Star Wars. I was just, and then Darth Maul. I mean, holy crap! And then young Palpatine. It's like, oh my god, this is great. And it wasn't until probably like the 10th, 12th time that the first time Jar Jar was annoying right off the bat, and I'm just going to throw that out there. I get what he was doing with it and everything, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That's cool, whatever. But I just distinctly remember how different the prequels felt by the time I got through watching it in the theater. And I don't know. I used to kind of be a prequel hater, and now I'm just kind of accept the fact that they exist. They do add to the story as a whole, so I got to give thumbs up for that. But yeah, I'm still an original trilogy.
Well, yeah, and I've been the same way too, and I know there's a lot of prequel defenders out there, and as I've said constantly before, I do not hate the prequels as far as what they do to the overall story. I think that the continuity that exists between the films and also what it does for the original trilogy is very good as far as the characters, their character motivations, the development of those characters. It's really interesting to find out these backstories, especially Anakin. I mean, even though I might have my issues with Hayden Christensen's acting and things of that nature, I think that the story that is told is still a very good one, and I think it's one that's worth telling. So and as a kid, I loved the prequels because they were fun. They were just fun movies about action and the Force, and everything just looked so cool. I wanted a lightsaber. I wanted to be a Jedi. Like, I want to do all of these things. And then when I found out the original trilogy, I was like, oh, so this is like some legit stuff going on here.
Right.
And then, of course, as I got older, I started to think back on the prequels, and I was like, well, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was. As a kid, I may have enjoyed it, but it's definitely not the best written thing out there. And
no, it's not.
Yeah, but I still enjoy it. And now, also,
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, and now I think it's even better because now I can enjoy it because it's almost one of those. It's so bad it's funny. So it's just an actual enjoyable experience. So not only do you still get the really good storytelling and the really good character development, but then you also still get these really, really, really bad lines of dialogue that George Lucas is notorious for that just bring smiles to your face. I honestly think, I think it may have been PewDiePie or someone who said that basically the memes saved the prequels in the eyes of the fans. Because I will say the memes out there and the GIFs out there for the prequels are just top notch. They're so good, and I love it. It's so awesome.
It does make me appreciate them more. They are phenomenal, especially when you can almost meme everything from all three films. At first I was like, man, that's the greatest insult that they could give to Lucas and Star Wars. But then I started to think about it, I'm like, how many other things get memed that much? I mean, nothing, right? So, I mean, at some point, you got to be like, look at it in a positive manner. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather look at it, the glass is half full than half empty, even though I'm more half empty kind of guy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Zen Waters says, the story for the prequels is great. The script and the acting of the prequels are awful. And I think that I can definitely agree with that. And Tina, yes, when I was a kid, baby Odin definitely was all on board with pod racing. I remember one of the first Star Wars games I ever played. In fact, the first Star Wars game I ever played was the pod racing game, and I had so much fun with it. And I was like, pod racing is cool. I love pod racing. What's your favorite part of the movie? Oh, the pod racing, of course. And now I look back on it and I think to myself, God, why did I love pod racing?
Well, it's not bad. I don't know, when did Phantom Menace come out? 99. So I mean, that's 20 years, and I think it still holds up pretty well as far as that aspect of it goes. But for me, it was the Darth Maul showdown with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah. Oh no, nowadays, like as I'm older, I'm like all about that final battle because it's just that damn good. And then when you add on to that, and I'm really sad that Laura's not here for this because she is very much into the EU. She's very much into, Clone Wars and Rebels. And what I love about it is how they are able to take the character of Darth Maul and not only revive that character in Clone Wars, but also really flesh out his character, give him more of a backstory, and really help you to understand him as a person as well. and I love it.
Yeah, there's also a handful of novels out there that are in the now deleted Legends EU. So,
Yep.
yeah, don't get me started on that.
Oh,
man.
yeah, thanks to the story group. So, no, let's get you started on that. So, what are some novels that you think are good for people that maybe are interested in this topic, especially those who might like Darth Maul since we're talking about him, or just any other stories that may have come from the prequels or may have been based off of information that we found out in the prequels?
Okay, so I guess maybe we should start this off by what you want out of the reading material. Like what's your end goal? If you just want to read their lives from year to year to year, I'd say just start at the beginning and right after Return of the Jedi, which is like the next day. I think they have a novel that starts and just go from there. As far as like original characters, Luke has always been my favorite. Probably always will be my favorite. But as far as new characters included in that expanded universe, my absolute favorite is Mara Jade. So I'm trying not to spoil it for you, man, because I know you're not that far into it. So
Well, I'm in the duology right now, so
yeah, but even if I say so,
yeah, I think that all of us can, anyone that's ever read it, anyone that's ever read the EU, we could say easily, if you have not read the Thrawn trilogy, do that first. I think the Thrawn trilogy is the best place to start for the EU because you are introduced into one of the best characters in the EU, which luckily became part of canon, thank God, because he is just a great character. Unfortunately, it's, from what I know, limited to only his appearances in Rebels and also his newer books, the newer books that were written once Disney had taken over, which is sad because it means that the original Thrawn trilogy and the Thrawn duology, which I'm reading right now, are non-canon, and I think it's some of the better stories out there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you got to look at the quality of the author too. Timothy Zahn is
fantastic,
one of the best Star Wars authors out there. Troy Denning is also really good, and Aaron Allison. I like their work as well. I mean, not everyone, but yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I absolutely agree. The Thrawn trilogy is a great place to start because that was the first books that were written after Lucas opened it up to the authors. And if you wanted to back up by 1 year and find out how Han and Leia got together, well, then there's the courtship of Princess Leia, and that's about 4 years after Return of the Jedi. And you can, and then that story blends nicely into the Thrawn trilogy. Then Luke's set up his academy 2 years after the Thrawn trilogy with the Jedi Academy trilogy, and it was pretty good. I wasn't quite the fan of the third book, if I remember correctly, but then again, I read it a very long time ago. So, but the cool thing about it is that they incorporated a comic book character from about 5,000 years before the birth of Luke Skywalker. So that was really cool. It was a Sith Lord called Exar Kun, and they had to deal with his spirit. So that was pretty awesome.
Very nice. And what was the name of that one again?
That one was the Jedi Academy trilogy.
Jedi Academy trilogy. And who wrote that?
Kevin J. Anderson.
Kevin J. Anderson. Okay, so that sounds like something you'd be interested in. Go check that out for sure. So I've been reading the comments a little bit, and I see that there's a bunch of people giving some recommendations for books. So let me just go to those real quick. Elder Hyuga says, please read Dark Lord Rise of Darth Vader. It's an awesome book. Have you read that by chance?
Yes, I have, once and many years ago.
Was it good?
It was okay. It wasn't anything to make me go ooh and ah and wow, but I mean, it wasn't bad either. Okay. So I mean,
all right. Well, it sounds like Elder Hyuga is going to have some words with you, good sir, because he says to please read it. It's an awesome book. So
okay.
Let's see, John Madden. I don't know why I keep wanting to read the John Madden post as John Madden. But it's like, oh, do you think Disney's being cautious by releasing footage or the title for Episode 9 at the time? Yes. So the recent news is that it's been not confirmed, but basically it's been leaked that the Star Wars trailer will not come out until April, and very likely it will be coming out before the showings of Endgame which makes a lot of sense to me. And so many people speculate that they're probably going to release the trailer the first time at Star Wars Celebration, which would make a lot of sense, and then have it go public, like officially before Endgame. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that John Madden is do you think that John Madden is correct that they're being very cautious with the footage and the title for Episode 9 because they are wanting to make sure, and this is just my own opinion, they are wanting to make sure they get this right because they know if they don't get this right, they're going to be in some trouble.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I read something earlier that said that it was possible that they might release the first teaser for Captain Marvel to get people in there to watch the movie. Mm-hmm. I was like, actually, from a marketing standpoint, that actually would be pretty smart of them. Mm-hmm. I still wouldn't go buy a ticket to watch that movie. So,
and a lot of people wouldn't, and I think that they realize that now. There's been this whole controversy today with the Rotten Tomatoes scores, like people putting early reviews out there and people claiming that they were fake and they were negative. Like, so I don't even know what's going on with it, but what I do know is that last time I checked, it was at 95% as far as like people who wanted to go see Captain Marvel, and that was like a couple weeks ago. That was before the press tour. That was before Brie Larson decided to start going on her Little Woke press tour, saying that, you know, white men should have shut their mouths. Well, it was at 95%. As of today, it's actually dropped a few more points. As of today, the want to see score, with 6,000 people putting their thoughts in, is at 69%, which is awful for any movie. Only 69% of people want to go see it. That's not good. That is not good at all, anyone.
No, it's not. And to be honest, I mean, that just... I wasn't going to go see it anyways because, you know, I'm pretty selective about what I go watch, and that just kind of solidifies my position. So, but to go back to your first question about Episode 9, the trailer and the title, and I absolutely think they're playing the cards close to the chest, and they really, really need to, because right now, whether they're going to admit it or not, they know they screwed up. They screwed up royally. Not only in terms of how they handled the fans' reaction, but in story-wise as well. I mean, holy crap. Look what the legacy characters, Jesus. Oh my God, I'm getting so like irritated just thinking about how they treated Luke. I mean, Han's dead. I saw that coming a mile away. Like when they said Harrison Ford would be in Episode 7, I was like, well, he's gonna die.
Yeah,
because you know he has never liked Star Wars,
and he's been wanting to die like forever. He wanted to die back in the original trilogy.
Jedi.
Yeah. I mean...
and he's never really liked it. So you know.
It's the way he died that a lot of people I think have a problem with. I don't think it's the fact that he died as a character. I just think this is where it comes down to me. And really, The Last Jedi kind of cemented all of this, because beforehand I was like, okay, well, you still got Luke and Leia, so maybe they could do something. But even then, they were together for like all but a few seconds, and then they weren't even together because it ended up being the stupid Force projection. So basically, the entire new trilogy, which is apparently supposed to be the Skywalker trilogy, like the end of the Skywalker saga, has barely any Skywalkers in it. And then on top of that, too, we never, ever get the big three on screen ever again.
Yeah, and I
we
think
never
that's
will.
Where they screwed up.
And we never will. And it's sad.
No, I think I understand why Disney like erased the expanded universe canon, because they didn't want competition and they wanted to make money off of it. But if they would have just taken a pause for a moment and say, look at all this stuff that we can pull from and make movies, the storyline, I mean, even if they only like accepted 75% of it and say, okay, from this point on we're going to go fresh, you know, I think fans would have been happier overall. And like I said, the stories that they could have pulled from are just numerous, and most of those stories have Han, Luke, and Leia, and other Jedi masters and the new Jedi Order, and
other human characters and non-human characters that are just downright interesting. Like, seriously, the Nogri. Oh my God, the Nogri. You could just have so many things with that, and I think you're definitely onto something there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I think if I remember correctly, they started serving Leia
Mm-hmm.
after the Thrawn trilogy,
Yep.
and they were with her for like a decade or so of books. So I'm just really upset about how the way they treat. You know, when Disney bought Star Wars, and my brother was like, "Hey man, how do you feel about this?" I'm like, I was like cautiously optimistic. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, they just bought Marvel, and Marvel's still going good. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. This could be good because in my view back then, I was like, man, George Lucas just destroyed his franchise with the
Mm-hmm.
prequels.
Yeah.
That was my thought on it. But now I'm like, that man was a genius.
He made $4 billion, and I don't think anyone can say that he is not smart for making that much money for the franchise.
No,
But no, and
um,
yeah, but I agree. I think that when you really take a look at the EU, especially when you delve into the novels, when you delve into all of these really original stories, not only do you get those stories, but also, as you said in the beginning, Lucas let them just write their stories. And I think
mhm.
that's what the best part about it was that there was no real concern about what's canon and what's not canon. It was just make good stories, write good stories and good characters. And that's why you have this huge influx. The best novels that we have in Star Wars are from this era of essentially like decentralized authority, where George Lucas just said, go ahead, have fun,
Yeah.
pretty much. And I think
Well,
that what they should have done, what Disney should have done, is obviously they came in and they're like, okay, we need to get this canon under control. We need to be able to have a consistent story. And I understand that. But the way that they could have done it is, especially if their intention was indeed to tell the Skywalker saga, because let's just, in the time frame of things, you had the original trilogy that everyone loved. You had the prequel trilogy that most people have negative opinions of, even to this day, in a lot of different reasons. And so many people thought that Star Wars kind of fell off the cliff because of the prequels. However, I'll argue against that because Clone Wars was very successful, and that, of course, came out post prequels. But you're left in this position where there hasn't been a Star Wars movie since Revenge of the Sith. People are hungry for a new Star Wars movie. Disney buys Lucasfilm for $4 billion. And what they should have done is they should have said, okay, we know the fans love the original trilogy. We know that they had issues with the prequel, so let us try and find the best way forward. How about, wait a minute, we still have Mark Hamill. We still have all these other characters, all these other actors that are still alive that play the original characters. What if we make a Skywalker saga completion? And instead of them just saying, we're just going to make things up as we go, we're just not going to plan ahead, because this is what Kathleen Kennedy did. She said, oh, I'm going to have 3 different directors, 3 different writers taking care of a movie, like each having one movie in a trilogy, and it doesn't matter if they don't connect completely because I don't care about that. And it's like, no, that's not how you do things. So what they should have done is they should have said, okay, let's see what stories are out there. What stories do we have in the EU? What stories do we have in the novelizations, etc.? And let's take those and adapt them. Because obviously you can't do the Thrawn trilogy completely, because the Thrawn trilogy takes place about 5 to 10 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. And obviously the actors are significantly older than that, but you can easily take the stories and adapt them, change the ages, and still have the core elements to those stories, and not to mention at least have the core elements of the characters that are introduced as well. Or tell other stories that take place closer to the time and the age of Luke, Han, and Leia at the time that they were going to want to tell it anyway. And I think that had they done that and actually made it the Skywalker saga and completion of the Skywalker saga, we wouldn't have all of this nonsense. We would not have any of this controversy. Everything would be great. I mean, everyone would be happy because we would have Star Wars again. And it's then that in those 3 movies, this new sequel trilogy, you introduce these new characters. You introduce a Poe. You introduce a Finn or a Rey. And you have them as a supporting character that you're getting to know for the first time. And then from there, once you have done that, and if you've done it successfully, by the end of that trilogy, when, hey, you can have those original characters die, or something else can happen to them, but at that point, you can have an actual passing of the torch. But instead, it was like JJ had something in his mind, and then Rian Johnson said, oh, those things could be cool, but I don't care what you have to say, and I don't care that the audience has really liked it for the most part. I'm going to do my own thing. And, of course, now we're in the issue that we're in today. What are your thoughts?
Well, if I remember correctly, the original writer for Episode 7 made a draft, and it was heavy on the legacy characters of Han, Luke, and Leia.
I did not know that.
And Kathleen Kennedy did not like that and scrapped him and his drafts. As far as the JJ is concerned, I don't know why a lot of people hate on him so much. He just tries to make good movies. Keyword is try.
I like him. I like him overall.
I like him.
Yeah, I like him.
I like him. Yeah, I would rather JJ be doing the Star Wars movies than 90% or 95% of the directors in Hollywood. I mean, love him or hate him, he does have a flair for visually showing a great story on the screen.
Because keep this in mind. I think also too, when people talk about JJ and they talk bad about him, I don't think they truly understand that JJ is a director, and that's why I love him. He is a director. He's not a writer-director. He is a director. And I think that if you understand that, even if you hated Star Trek, like the newer movies, even if you hated the stories and you hated certain elements and the characters, I don't think anyone will deny that those movies are very well put together, well crafted, and overall enjoyable for the mass audiences. And that's what he does. He can make and adapt movies as a director, and I think he can do that very well. And I think that had JJ, especially since now he has the third and first film in this trilogy, had JJ had Episode 8, we would be in a very different position. Would we be completely happy? Probably not, because Kathleen Kennedy was still at the time of Episode 8 being put out, was still the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. So she still was going to try and put in as much of what she wanted in there as possible. But JJ would still have been behind the scenes and would have made a competently directed film. But instead we got Ryan, who not only directed, but also wrote the damn thing. Ergo, we're in this complete and utter crap show.
Mess. Yeah. No, and Kathleen wanted newer characters and female-centric and all that, and I'm fine with all of that right there. But they could have handled it like Luke is the Grandmaster of the Jedi Order, and his sister, was like the Chancellor or whatever, and Han's like, I don't know, Han's doing Han stuff.
Yeah.
And, and Luke could have been like, I sense a disturbance in the Force, and then he sends Ben Solo and Rey Skywalker out to go find out what it is. They could have done it that way. Like, you have the main characters there, they're established, and they're, tasking the younger generation, go do this for me. And then they get in trouble out there, and then you got the final showdown, the Han the Falcon, and then Luke coming in and has lightsabers twirling around his head and crap just with the Force. I mean, that'd have been so much better.
Yeah. And
even if their screen time had been minimal, because I mean, come on, when Luke turned around in Episode 7, you're just like, oh my god, it's like,
yeah.
So.
And the sad thing, too, is that they were marketing the hell out of Luke in the film, and then you just get him at the very end, and then credits. And that would have been okay. Like, in the grand scheme of things, that would have been fine had the second film picked up directly from that and it been an awesome thing. But instead, it's, I'm going to throw the lightsaber behind my head. Oh, look, it's funny because you weren't expecting it. Because don't get me wrong, I chuckled a few different times when I saw The Last Jedi the first time, but it wasn't because I thought it was funny. It was because, wait, what? Like, why did that happen? It was kind of that nervous laughter of, wait, what? Did they really just do that? Can you even do that? And then it's after the fact, when I saw it the second time, I was sitting through the movie and I was like, yeah, now that I know it's coming, God, what? What the hell am I watching? It's ridiculous. As Elric Huga has noted, with The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson only made one draft before it became the actual script. I don't know if that's confirmed, but I'm pretty sure it is. I think I've heard that before, at least. So,
well, he's always said that he's a crappy writer and a slow writer, and then there was that whole thing about, well, The Last Jedi was written before The Force Awakens. Are you kidding me? Like, before The Force Awakens was even written, you didn't even have the franchise, so there's no possible way that The Last Jedi was written before The Force Awakens. I don't buy that crap.
I see. I hear that, and because of how bad The Last Jedi is, I do believe it. Because it makes sense to me that Rian Johnson would know exactly what because in all honesty, when I was watching Last Jedi, the whole time my thought process was every time there was something that JJ had introduced or a concept or a story arc or anything, it was immediately subverted, done away with, or just reversed. And so it actually might make sense that he wrote it before, because he very well could have been like, what are your plans for the movie? Oh, that? Okay, I'll do the opposite. Oh, where's that? Oh, okay, I'll do the opposite of that, because it'll subvert the expectations of everybody. Like, I could totally see Rian Johnson just sitting in the corner the whole time during The Force Awakens, just being like, oh, you're gonna like that? No, I'm gonna reverse that, because it's gonna subvert everyone's expectations, and it's gonna be really funny to see that. And yeah, like that's my view of what Rian Johnson did that entire time.
That's probably what he did. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's
absolutely.
You know, the thing is that there's a few things, like J.J. Abrams had Leia in the Falcon with R2 going. That was his original intent. Or was it R2? I'm sorry, BB-8. BB-8 instead of R2. And Ryan asked him to change it to R2 or whatever the case was. And then, he did that. And another thing that he changed is that he wanted Luke meditating and having all these rocks and stuff moving around him, and he's so in tune with the Force. And he asked him to also change that as well. And then when Colin Trevorrow is saying, hey, please don't kill Luke, I'm going to use him on my thing, he's like, no, screw you, man.
My
where's the professional courtesy? Because from all the rumors circulating, Trevorrow had a hell of a plan for Rey and Luke, so very disappointed.
Yep. I think that's one word for it. I think there's a lot of other words that we could say for it as well. But we do have a couple of super chats. So Nico Blue 88, thank you very much for the super chat. Nico says, Anakin, the greatest hero in Star Wars. No argument from me, especially with Clone Wars. Clone Wars Anakin added into it? Yes, absolutely agree. And Herpicus McDerbyton, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, I've read some of Captain Marvel's early reviews. Rotten Tomatoes needs to spend the money to get some better bots. Nice, man. Yeah, oh gosh, Rotten Tomatoes is just a hot mess. Because speaking of Rotten Tomatoes, and we can connect that easily to Star Wars, it's interesting to me how everyone cries Russian bots when it came to The Last Jedi and how low that audience score is, and yet they can't explain why The Force Awakens had a very high audience score and still has a very high audience score, and why Solo also didn't have a near as terrible audience score. So apparently they must have all just come out for one movie for some reason. For some random reason. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't buy that whole Russian bot crap 1 minute. So I'm actually kind of tired of it. It's Russians for everything.
Oh yeah.
From politics to movies. And I'm just really, I'm so sick of it.
Yeah. My boy Sith Kryptonian actually did an interview with the guy who had done the Russian bot study that everyone in the shill media had picked up and run with. And he did an interview with him, and the guy basically admitted saying there's essentially no evidence that Russian bots had any impact on the score whatsoever. And it's brilliant. It's awesome. So go check out my boy Sith Kryptonian, because he's a really cool dude, and it was fascinating to hear this guy who at first I'm like, dude, this methodology is so broken, but he has since he has admitted the fact that it shows the very opposite of what many people thought it said that it was trying to claim. And it's actually really fascinating to hear him talk about it. Let's see what we got here, though. Jeremy Gao says, howdy, everybody. Thank you for the shout-out today. No problem, Jeremy Gao. Jeremy Gao was the one that sent me the picture of John Campia, who apparently has, last time I checked, he had deleted his Twitter altogether. Now people are telling me that he's on Twitter, but now he has no tweets. Mine says his page doesn't exist every time that I search for it, so that's my understanding of things. Either way, I think it's absolutely hilarious. But John Campia was a man that was a huge, huge fan of Star Wars The Last Jedi, and also, too, is just a total and utter asshat. But, yeah, that was Jeremy Gao who showed me some of the comments that he said saying, audience scores don't matter. I'm sure you'll defend those critic scores, though, right? Because the critic scores, they're legit. Audience scores for some reason aren't legit, but those critic scores are legit, right? They're not politically motivated. They're not financially motivated at all. Nah, 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 nah. That's why they gave Last Jedi, which is an objectively flawed film, a 92%. Like 92% of critics liked it. But then Alita Battle Angel, oh, no, it's not the whammon that we expected, and so therefore we can't support it. It's like, oh, get over yourselves, people. But anyway, you're welcome, Jeremy Gao. Dark Detective says, Captain Marvel is tracking at $120 million opening. Does that sound likely? Where are you seeing that? I was hearing $80 to $120 million. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on Captain Marvel?
Yeah. So, I think the sheer fact that the name Marvel, and not Captain Marvel, but Marvel Studios is on it, is the thing that's going to draw people to the box office. Mm-hmm. Just like Star Wars, the name Star Wars used to draw people to the box office, and then you got them there, and then you gave them crap like The Last Jedi, and then people are like, yo, a lot of people are like, Last Jedi made like 1.3 billion. I think it lost like 700-800 million because it should have done better than The Force Awakens, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Captain Marvel, I honestly don't care. So.
Yeah, I only brought it up because it was indeed a super chat. But also too, apparently from what I'm reading, so I'm reading this article right now, Hollywood Reporter, who had released the number being $80 to $120 million, is now saying that it is now $20 million more so. I am very, very speculative of this. I sense a game being played at this point because just like a few days ago, as of February 14th, it was $100 million. It is now 5 days later, and now it's up to $20 million. I think they're playing a game. I honestly think that all of this is for one purpose and one purpose only. They do not want to have egg on their face, and so they're going to try and put a range out there that will allow for the film to, if it underperforms, not seem as bad, but if it overperforms, oh my God, it was such a great hit. I think like they're trying to find the perfect number for it to either, be excusably bad or to be so OP, even though in reality it's not OP,
Yeah. No, that actually makes sense once you put it in that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us see. Mary Vidalis, thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Super chat for reasons, heart. Well, thank you, Mary. I appreciate you very much. Also, Siphon, hold on. Joe, oh wait, these are all from today. Let's see. Joe Mitchell, welcome to the channel. Siphon Greenwood, welcome to the channel. Darth Zorg, welcome to the channel. The Grim Josh, welcome to the channel. Dan Maloney, welcome to the channel. And Herpicus McDurbington, thank you for the $2 super chat. Palpatine and the Empire did nothing wrong.
As far as an anthology film, if they gave us a Palpatine, like a young Palpatine when he was found by Darth Plagueis, I would totally watch that movie.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see, it would be really cool for once to get a movie from the other side's perspective. I would love to see a Sith movie.
Okay, yeah. They need to do a Darth Bane trilogy because that would be phenomenal. Or even Darth Revan. I mean,
those are two characters I need to get into. I think also anything Old Republic would be a good move on their part. And I would not be surprised. All right, so Laura has indeed confirmed that she cannot make it today. The dogs are trying to eat the gardeners, and they are now in the office. Okay, so sorry to hear that, Laura. So she will be on next month when we have the stream, or if I'm able to get her on another time. But still, great to have a post-dyer here. But, I really do think that the Game of Thrones guys, I think they will likely go Old Republic. What do you think?
God, I hope so. Because, I mean, that's such a rich tapestry that, I mean, you could go back 5,000 years, 3,000 years, 7,000 years, whatever. You could go back so far that it has absolutely no bearing or impact on the original trilogy, the prequels, or the shamble that they call the sequel trilogy. So, or you could go so far in the future, as well that, it absolutely has no... Other than if you find out that the main character actually does carry the name Skywalker. which
Yeah.
would also be cool. So I mean, I don't know.
No,
But
I
yeah,
agree.
Old Republic, man. Old Republic is where it's at.
Yeah, I want to dive further into it. I'm in the process of. Oh, sorry to everyone. I am sorry. I'm trying to see an article that someone had mentioned in the chat. I am personally really wanting to dive further into the, especially the Old Republic era. So I'm in the process of starting Darth Plagueis. I know that it's a little bit dense, a little bit more dense than some of the other novels are, so I'm trying to take my time with it, especially since I'm trying to get through the duology. I'm also, because of Laura, thank you again, Laura, she gave me the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, and I started reading that, and it's really cool to see the story being told, not just from what you see on screen, but also from what is going on in their minds internally. It's some really good stuff, really good inner monologues going on. So I've got so many things that I got to read, but it looks so damn good. Let's see. Alton Foster, thank you for the $2 super chat. Odin, did you see the Yahoo article about Alita? No, I was just looking for it. I have not. I don't know which one you're talking about. And Riff Magus, thank you for the Aussie $5 super chat. I just wanted to show my support for an awesome channel. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. You're awesome. Herpicus McDurberton says XR Coon War Trilogy. What is that? XR Coon War.
Okay, so the X Raccoon, it's been a long time. It was a comic book, and I think they're Ulick Quell Drama or Kel Drama or whatever. These were two fallen Jedi who turned to be the Dark Lord of the Sith and the apprentice to the Dark Lord of the Sith. So X Raccoon became the Dark Lord of the Sith, and then Ulick was the apprentice. And they pretty much waged war on the Jedi Order. And then it wasn't until they tracked Exer down to the jungle moon of Yavin 4 and killed him there. And by killing him there, they trapped his spirit on Yavin. And then several thousand years later, Luke inhabits the planet with his Jedi Academy, and then they have to deal with that spirit. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, damn. And that's the one thing I have noticed when reading through this, the Thrawn duology. I'm in not Spectre of the Past. I'm in the other one.
Vision of the Future.
Vision of the Future. I'm in Vision of the Future right now, and I'm about halfway through. And the one thing that bothers me, but it also makes me excited, is that they keep on referencing these stories that are not listed or not mentioned in the Thrawn trilogy or duology. And it makes me want to find these stories because it mentions how, for example, that Luke Skywalker at one point has an interaction with a Dark Jedi, not Juru Sabaoth, but someone else, and how this interaction impacts his use of the Force. And I really want to dive further into it because it sounds just fascinating, because it has everything to do with his Jedi Academy too, and just how with typical Jedi Academies you're going to have a few people that might not be able to embrace the goodness and turn. And so but I'm trying to find out, it's like, what books do I go to? Like, how do I connect these dots? Because I want to read it all. I want all the EU. Seriously, they're all so good.
No, so I should just go back and read them all again myself, to be honest. So I'm already on the third book of the Darth Bane trilogy again. Nice. So, I might as well just hey, you know what? Sorry to tell you this. I'm getting a phone call. Give me a second, would you?
Oh, yeah, no problem at all. I will go ahead and interact with the chat.
All
right, everybody. So let me go ahead and interact chat. I'm actually was going to look into it myself to see, because I think I have actually a free Audible audiobook that I can use, because sometimes they'll email you and saying, hey, take a free audiobook on us. And I'm like, sure. Now I can get another Star Wars audiobook. So I'm going to see which audiobooks should I get. So once again, I have accessed Outbound Flight. I've already got the Thrawn trilogy. I'm already gotten take care of the Thrawn duology, and also Revenge of the Sith. What would be, and also I have access to Darth Plagueis. Should I have this audiobook be used for Darth Bane? Is Darth Bane that good? Is Darth Bane that good to start? Alden Foster says, Odin, it is the one about bionic arms for young girl. Okay, no. We were talking about how they did that for her? Dude, that's awesome. Seriously, that's why Alita is better, because they're actually helping people. It's insane. It really is. Thank you, Tina, for telling everyone how it goes. Bitch PI says, the Yahoo article on Alita is just a sit on the fence article. They put it down and build up. Okay. Herbicus says either a Great Sith War or a new Sith Wars trilogy from the Game of Thrones guys would be amazing, preferably without any influence from KK or minions. I think many people have suspect that KK might not have the power that she once had. Whether or not that's true or not, we don't know. Obviously, her absence from the public light seems to indicate that maybe she is not as influential as she once was, but I definitely would be down for it nonetheless. I Jedi says AB. Modern Dude says, sorry, late. Do It says Odin. Bane is great. Bane is great. Kyle, are you back? Did I hear you come back?
Yeah, my repairman is here, so I got to let him in. So just if you'll give me a few more minutes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, man.
All right, thanks.
All right, so Bane. Let me go ahead and look that up for you guys. Let's see. Darth Bane. Okay, so is there like a first Darth Bane book? Because I'm seeing Rule of Two, Dynasty of Evil, Path of Destruction. What is the... Oh, wait, there it is. Book 1, Book 2. So Book 1 is Path of Destruction. Book 2 is the Rule of Two. Book 3 is Dynasty of Evil. But it's narrated by Jonathan Davis. I don't like Jonathan Davis. Jonathan Davis did a rendition of one of the books that I was listening to, and it was one that had characters that had already been done by Mark Thompson, and Jonathan Davis is no Mark Thompson, and it makes me mad. I know, repair person is, oh yeah, such a sexist. I know, right? Yeah, there is. Okay, cool. Gotcha. I love a well-written Revan film. Okay, I gotcha. Let me see, because I'm actually signed up for something right now, and it's called Scribd, and it's actually really dirt cheap per month, and you get access to audiobooks. I need to see, do they have Darth Bane? If not, then I think that I will indeed get... And they don't. Cool. So that is the audiobook I will get. Do I dare do a poll? I know how much you guys love polls. So just a quick yes or no in the chat. Yes to get Path of Destruction, the first of the Darth Bane novels. Let me see some yeses or nos. Path is the first in the Bane trilogy. Can you get Magician by Raymond E. Price? Probably. Herbicus says, if you're willing to read the print version, the Bane trilogy is available in one bundled. I don't have time to read, so I tend to just listen to it in my car, unfortunately. I see a couple of no's. I see mostly yeses. I see a do it. The only Bane I know is this awful Christopher Walken movie. Takuga says Lucasfilm is proof that we don't live in a capitalist society because they don't want to see maximizing profits. Yeah, they do. No, reading is for losers. Yes, why would anyone would say no? Ariak says maybe. I think that's probably the most honest answer. Maybe. It depends on what you like. Well, it's a free audiobook, and I've been told that this is awesome. I really actually want to read the Rule of Two simply because I want to find out where the Rule of Two started. So it sounds like a good place to go. This, I will mention this for, and just let me know. Is there anything that I should read before Darth Bane? Is there a story that I need to have access to or knowledge of in order to understand Darth Bane better? Also, Gerard Newell, thank you very much for subscribing. And Riff Magos, thank you very much. Oh, wait, I already shouted you out. So no spoiler for Odin's guys. Yes, please. No spoiler. Bane is overrated, says Darth Solo. Damn, son. Dark Detective says, with Godzilla vs. King Kong, make $1 billion. I think there's definitely a chance. Yes, 50 Shades of Grey. Okay, so according to Will Gentry, I need to read 50 Shades of Grey in order to understand Bane before I start reading it. Okay.
No, you don't.
Alden Foster says, Revan is actually the originator of the Rule of Two. Okay, gotcha. Herbicus says, maybe play Knights of the Old Republic, but don't need any prior reading for Bane trilogy. Cool. I was going to ask you that when you came back. So I have a free audiobook that I can use on Audible, and I think that everyone says I should get the first book of the Bane trilogy, Path of Destruction. And I was asking, one, should I do that? And two, it is free. And two, is there anything else that I would need to read beforehand?
So there's definitely nothing you need to read beforehand.
Okay.
Darth Bane is kind of a standalone, and it takes place approximately 1,000 years before the birth of Luke Skywalker. Okay. So far enough in the past that And whoever said it, yes, they are correct. Darth Bane is the guy who incorporated the rule of two,
Not
which is
Revan?
what. Nope.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Darth Bane is a big influence on the Sith, and it's also kind of like when Yoda said it in the Phantom Menace, "Always two there are, no more, no less,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it all came from. So.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, live.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
so I don't know if I heard this correctly because I unplugged and I was listening over the loudspeaker, but did someone say I was sexist for calling my repairman a man?
Yes, you should call them a repair person.
But he's a man.
No, 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 a repair person.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree.
All right, guys. So, boom. I have the first of the Darth Bane novels. I blame you if I hate it. It was free, guys, so it's all good. Solzat says, "Oh, not really. Maybe a tab on Wikipedia. Have you smashed the like button? Moon Banner Dude thing. Thank you, guys. Please smash that like button. It's free on YouTube. Oh, and I know, but I would rather have it be. I like Audible's setup. I like their audiobooks and the way they're set up, so I'm just going to go with that. It'll be easier for me to bring with me on my phone and to have it accessible, etc., etc. Yes, so let the hate flow through me. So Outpost, Kyle, any other things that you'd want to talk about tonight? Because I do want to try and be able to take a break to eat dinner, because I did not eat dinner yet. Getting all this up, and I know that you got a repairman over there too. So anything that you want to talk about, as a last topic, as a final topic.
Well, I think we kind of barely scratched the surface when it comes to Star Wars, but I think I'd like to turn my attention back to Episode 9 and
Perfect.
we wish that JJ would find some way to retcon 8 and Luke still be alive. And, I was toying around with these ideas for a long time, and by no means am I saying that I'm like the original thought possessor of this, but, if when Leia got blown out into space, if they would go back to that moment and all that happened after that was forced vision from her, that would be awesome to retcon the entire movie and just pick up on the next one.
Yeah.
And, Luke's metal hand didn't fall to the ground when he faded away at the end. So what if he was just a force projection of a force projection and the real Luke is somewhere else?
Yeah. Also, I think that the interesting thing could be, because obviously I'm not going to go into spoilers I'm not going to say anything about which story or how it comes about, but cloning is a big thing in the EU, at least in a few novels, and it would be really cool if he was not actually Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, because they found his lightsaber, surely they found his hand as well, and you could probably pull DNA from that hand.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the wound is cauterized, right? So, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I would totally be okay with them doing that. If they said, "Sorry, that's not the real Luke, that's a clone," I'd be like, "All right, then, let's get going."
No, and I know that there's some people who are saying, "Oh God, don't do the clones, no clones." But for me, anything that retcons a huge part of The Last Jedi, or even several parts of The Last Jedi, I think no matter what it is, as long as it retcons it, it's okay. In isolation by itself, maybe not the best, but if by the end of it, Episode 8 is retconned in part or in whole, I think we're all going to be in a much, much better place.
You know what? If they start Episode 9 with Luke waking up from like a dream and 7 and 8 were a dream, I'd still be okay with it. Mm-hmm. So,
oh, God, the dream, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, would agree with you there. Soulsass had said, "Have you seen these SWTOR? Is that Star Wars Old Republic timeline on YouTube? It's awesome. What is that?"
Star Wars: The Old Republic is a video game, multimedia, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know about their timeline.
Okay. Soul Assassin, send that to me, dude. Send that direct message to me on Twitter. Send it direct message on Discord, or email it to me, so that way I can check it out for you. Alan Sparks says to eat the porg alive. Never. Eric Hogg Gaming. Somebody should buy Lucasfilm, make episode 7, 8, 9 into Legends, and that's how Star Wars can be saved. Yes.
I'll agree with that.
That
Amen.
is how you do it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But no, getting back to what you're saying with episode 9, kind of as a final point with it, I think that at the end of the day, what we're left with here is we're left with a situation where they need everything in the kitchen sink in order to be able to preserve Star Wars as a story. And I think that at the end of the day, it's not going to be about how much money it makes. It's not going to be about how little it makes. It's going to have everything on what or how does this story impact the future of Star Wars. And I think that that is something that some people need to be very aware of, because yes, box office numbers can matter, but when Star Wars is supposed to be living on after this movie, if you are leaving everyone in a down position, if you are leaving everyone not trusting Disney's portrayal and control of the Star Wars universe, you are leaving Star Wars in a very precarious situation, to the point where you will have people who will just skip out on the future projects, even if they're good, even if they have potential, because of the lost trust. You know, Rian Johnson did a lot of damage and is continuing to do damage with his trollery on Twitter and among other places as well. And Lucasfilm's not helping by remaining completely silent on it and not supporting their fans. What are your thoughts on episode 9? What does episode 9 have to do for you to be able to kind of bring Star Wars, make Star Wars great again? Let's use the phrase that they hate. How do you make Star Wars great again?
I don't think at this point you can make it great again. I think at this point you can hope, you can only hope to restore some faith with your fan base, the ones that are going to go watch it 5, 10, 17 times in the movie theater, because it's them that you've lost. And no matter how many people are out there saying, you know, I'm a fan of Star Wars now because they did such a great job, for every one of them that they picked up, they lost dozens of original Star Wars fans.
Absolutely.
And I think not necessarily 9, but I think mainly 7 and 8, more emphasis on 8 and Lucasfilm as a whole, should be a lesson to Hollywood. This is what not to do. And unfortunately, I think some of them will heed the warning, but I think this will make Hollywood even more risk adverse, and that's bad for us, because then they're just going to start making carbon copy movies and spitting them out. I mean, look how many remakes and sequels, and but I have high hope for 9, and I have faith in JJ. When they announced him as director for 7, I couldn't have been happier. And like I said, he's one of the very few people in Hollywood that I would actually trust with directing Star Wars and or Star Trek. I mean, look what he did with the first one. But I did hear a rumor that they have accidentally slipped the episode 9 title.
Oh, what do you think it is?
Rise of the Lens Flare. So
yes, that would be the only title that could possibly fit. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Just a few shout outs. Phantom Collective, welcome to the channel. Ad Hikam, welcome to the channel. Mikhail Persad, Gerard Newell, welcome to the channel as well. But dude, thank you for being on. I'm so sorry that this has been kind of a mess. I try to get everything to work out perfectly with our schedules. I think next time I'm just going to have to, for next month, I think I'm going to pick a day and say, I hope you can make it. Because as much as I want to work in with everyone's schedules, it's just, even when we were able to work everything out, it's still only half of you showed up, and there were still issues and everything. But thank you for being patient with me and for being just an awesome person. Because, guys, Outpost has been a patron supporter for a while now, for several months. And every time he's donated, he's been, hey, I hope this is okay. I want to give more. I want to support more. And it's just meant so much to me to know that there's somebody who believes in the content, who believes in what we're doing here and supports that, and is also just a downright awesome dude in the process, who is also an author that I would love to be able to support, and has even sent me copies of the book so that I can give them away to you guys, because he is just so awesome. And so if you have not done so already, there's actually a link in the description for this video that will lead you to the Amazon page for Kyle's book. I would recommend click on it, check it out, read through it. I think you usually get if you go through Kindle, you normally get a free sample, right?
I believe so. Yeah, you can. I think download up to 10% of it.
Yeah. So go. Download 10% of it. See if it's something that you might like, and then go support him. Buy a copy if there's a paper copy available. There's a Kindle copy available as well, and go give him some love. Go give him some support, because he's been so supportive of us. He's been so supportive of me, and it's the very least that I can do to try and get people aware of the work that he's doing, and to get people aware of just how cool of a guy he is. So Outpost, seriously, man, you're freaking awesome. You're a rock star.
Hey, thank you. Those were kind words, and I hope to live up to them. And you know what? If you guys have Amazon Prime, you can get it on Kindle Unlimited for free. So
boom,
read away.
There you go. So you can get it that way as well. And trust me, man, you live up to it just by your generosity. You are just amazing.
Thank you.
And I really hope that we're able to get another one of these together, and to not have technical issues, so that we can spend a little bit more time. But we've been going for about an hour, I think, and I think that's what we thought we were going to be able to get out of it because of schedules and everything.
Right.
So I'm glad that we were able to even get that much. But I can't wait to get you back on again to talk to you more about Star Wars, or a variety of other things too. Star Wars was really the topic that we chose because Laura is very big into Star Wars. So anything else that you might want to talk about as well, I know would be a fun thing.
Well, yeah, we can always talk Star Wars, because Star Wars is such a huge part of my life. And, actually it influenced my writing, and especially in the early stages. So, but yeah, I mean, next time we might want to talk Alita, because I went and saw it, and it was amazing.
Yes, and speaking of that, I know that so Anna, that Star Wars girl, reached out to me earlier, and I know she wants to do an Alita stream at some point, because out of all of the people that we know behind the scenes, me and Anna, we're the only two that have seen it, and so I know that she loved it, and I know that I loved it, and oh my god, we're both so pissed off at the video that I did today that I was struggling to get uploaded correctly was about the article that tried to complain that Alita was over-sexualized. Which is funny, because last time I checked, in order to be sexualized, I think it's important that you actually have sexual organs, all of which Alita doesn't actually have. And also, how is it that the feminine female form, which there is a standard generic form of, how is just using that a bad thing? I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's because her robotic body was skin tight. But to be honest, I mean, I don't really see it as a big issue unless you're Lando Calrissian and a pansexual who likes robots. So
yeah, it's so funny. They didn't have any problem with the giant hips of L337 and the fact that she admitted that it works. They had no problem with that. They didn't go after her for any reason, but that's because she, is either depends on who you ask. She's either a woke SJW or she's a mockery of the woke SJWs. I think that she's a woke SJW personally, just because, of everything that, happened with that film.
I think that no matter what, someone somewhere will always find something to complain about.
Yes. That we can, if there's one thing we can be certain of in this life, it is that everyone at some point will find something to complain about.
Yep.
But anyway, Outpost Kyle, any last words or thoughts that you want to send out to the Asgardian community before we call this stream a wrap?
Man, I got too many, but I think guys, try to keep the faith and hope in Star Wars. I mean, some of you may have written it off, and I think I have for the most part too, but I'm still cautiously optimistic. I want to believe that something good will come out of this. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
Oh, Well, thank you very much for those words. And I think that all of us want Star Wars to indeed be great again, which I just love saying those words because it just makes so many people mad, because we really do. We love Star Wars. We love the concept of Star Wars. We like the original stories. We love the characters. And we know that there's a plethora of stories out there that can be told within this universe. And praying to God one day, Kathleen Kennedy no longer in the picture, Rian Johnson no longer in the picture. You instead put people who love Star Wars, understand Star Wars into the picture, and then at that point, I think Star Wars can indeed become better. Star Wars can indeed improve, and if that can happen, then I think everything will be good in the end. So guys, thank you all so much for watching this stream. Again, I know it's been a little bit crazy, and guys, I will be back. So I'm still planning on doing the low council. It's obviously going to be a much more short and truncated version of the low council. So I'm going to go eat dinner, and then I'm going to get that set up. And because I definitely want to make sure that I am not overreaching and not going past the High Council's time, because I don't want to mess up anything with the High Council, because I love them. They're awesome people. But yeah, that's going to be it for us today. So this is indeed the first ever. Also, some people might be confused saying, hey, what is going on today anyway? Well, I try to have it in the description. So this is my chosen of Valhalla. So these, so Kyle and also Laura, who could not join us tonight, they are both my $25 and up backers on Patreon. And so therefore what that means is that they are featured once a month, at least once a month. I might actually try, especially because today kind of didn't work out as I expected. I might try and maybe add a bonus day to this month if Laura can make it. That way we can get you back on and get you the full stream that y'all deserve, and hopefully get that working out. But it is something that it's once a month, the stream. All the Patreons who are in that tier all have access to join into that stream and bring up any topics that they want to talk about and just have a good time. And speaking of which, I do, of course, as always, want to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons, especially Laura and Kyle, who again are my chosen of Valhalla, but also to A Great Jedi, Adam Shawhan, Dave Bob, Delete System 32, Edward Coleman, who will be in this tier next month, Enrique Evangelista, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Greta Zenner, Harold Francis the Hunka Chunka, Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan, Laura, of course, Matthew Cadish, Mr. Peabody, and at Post Dyer, and Mr. Peabody's evil twin, Perpetual Punster, Projar Sharif, Proper Jeremy, Shang Long, who will also be in this tier next month, Sir Lance Elato, the DJG Show, those two ball guys, Tina B, and Wolfgang Lange. You are all beautiful, wonderful, awesome patrons, and I love you all. And for everyone watching this stream, stick around, because I'll be ending this stream and then starting a different stream just to separate the two from each other. This stream will be uploaded in full onto the Welcome to Asgard secondary channel. I'm going to try and get that done probably tomorrow once it's been fully processed. And the Low Council will be starting within the next 20 minutes. And we'll probably go for about 45 or 50. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. And Kyle,
Raw.
Can you end this for us?
God bless.
Boom. There it is. Have a good one, guys.
See you.